Whoo! Chapter 27, The Centaur and the Sneak. So they're getting ready for their first divination class with their new teacher, the Centaur Ferenz. I hope I'm saying that right, Ferenz. And they were just talking about how Umbridge is probably going to want to get back at Dumbledore for basically overstepping her in the previous chapter and hiring a new teacher, as well as letting the previous teacher that she just fired stay in Hogwarts. So something is probably coming, but they don't know when. But when you get to class, it's not in the usual area because obviously he's a centaur and he can't go up those stairs into the top level. So they are in a new classroom on the ground level, and when they walk in, it looks exactly like a forest. Like everything is down to, you can see the trees, grassy grounds, and everything. It looks like a whole forest in the classroom. I love the description of the room as well. And so they get in, and Ferenz, first off, he says hi to Harry and just talks to him, and basically says, "Good to see you again." Everyone's like, "Oh, so you've seen him before?" And so they get into the class, and basically he discredits everything that Professor Trelawney has taught them, and says the human way of teaching divination and like future sight, whatever, is basically rubbish, and that they should look at the stars, and that's what the centaurs do. So they look at the stars and interpret what's going to happen based off of the stars. This could take anywhere from a couple minutes or years to many years. He said sometimes it's taken like 10 years for him to figure something out. But he did point out that the Mars was visible, and Mars is the indication of upcoming war or battle. And they wish that he had gone further into that, but that was pretty much all he said. And at the end of the class, he's basically told Harry, he asked Harry to stay after so he could give him a message for Hagrid, basically telling Hagrid that whatever he was doing was not going to work. That's basically pretty much how he said it. Whatever Hagrid's doing is not going to work, and just tell him that it's not going to work. Because also Ferenz has been kicked out of his herd as well for deciding to help Dumbledore and become a teacher. So he got kicked out of his herd, and Harry did notice like a hoof print on his chest. So basically showing he got in a fight with one of the other herd members and got kicked out. So he got banished basically. And from there, Harry goes on to give him the message, and Hagrid basically says, still nothing to worry about. He still looks beat up this whole time. And he says he doesn't know what he's talking about, and that what I'm doing is going to work. So, but he won't reveal what he's doing or what he's trying to do. So Harry is not in great spirits, obviously, because homework and all that. It's about April in the school year, and the owls are coming out, the big exams. Everyone's kind of breaking under the pressure of those, and the really only thing Harry has to look forward to is his meetings, weekly meetings with what's it called, the Dumbledore's army. So their weekly meetings. So they're going in, and everyone is progressing really well. He's happy about that. So they started learning Patronuses, and everyone's running around with the Patronuses. Not everyone's able to do it at first. Like obviously Hermione's able to do it because hers is like an otter. Harry obviously can do it. Some other classmates can do it, and Seamus has joined the class as well. Now that he's back on their side, so he's joined the class. Even he's able to do one little one, and Harry wants to just let them know that this is just for protection against Dementors, and that they should not be like. Obviously, all theirs are like pretty cute. Even Neville's not able to do his just because he's not able to think of something happy at the moment, which makes sense. And as they're in class, the door opens, and they don't see anyone come in. And then they realize, Harry realizes something is like on him, like grabbing him, and it's Dobby. So Dobby's coming in to warn them that Professor Umbridge is coming. She's coming for their room. She knows exactly where it is. And so everyone runs out, everyone is scrambling, and Harry is running, and then he gets knocked over by none other than Malfoy, who's helping Professor Umbridge catch the students. So it looks like he's the only one that got caught. So Harry gets taken by Professor Umbridge. She basically says, "Good job, Malfoy," and lets him go off. Gave him 50 points for Slytherin. So they go off to Dumbledore's office, and in there is Dumbledore, Professor McGonagall, Cornelius Fudge, and Percy Weasley. And there's one other person in there. Can't remember the name. I think like some other security members for the ministry. And they're in there, and she basically Umbridge says, "Do you know why you're here, Potter?" And he says, "No." And she's like, "You don't realize that you've broken some rules?" He's like, "No, I haven't done anything in particular." And then she just brings up the meetings they've been having. And out comes Cho's best friend, who was in Dumbledore's army. She comes in looking very disheveled, and she has a bunch of marks on her neck, and they spell the word sneak. So that is and Harry's like, Harry knows that is immediate. He clocks it immediately, because when you try to speak about the club, then there's a jinx for everyone who wrote their name on the paper. So if you try to speak about it, the jinx stops you from talking about it. So obviously she tried to talk about it because she was probably confronted by Professor Umbridge, maybe tortured. But she couldn't talk about it. She tried to nod, but one of the guards was on Dumbledore's side, so he hit her with a quick memory spell and erased her memory. So she didn't remember even being in those meetings. So that helped when they were questioning her. And then, as they went through, they got a piece of paper as well that said, all the names on the list. So they had that paper as well. It said Dumbledore's army, and they were going to. Dumbledore, at this moment, spoke up because Umbridge was basically shaking. What's her name? Marietta. He was shaking her because she didn't remember, and she was like, "Wait a minute, you're about to tell me everything," and he was shaking her. And Dumbledore stepped in. It's like, "You don't go shake one of my students." And this is where Dumbledore's cold, man. He's cold. So Dumbledore steps in, and he's about to take the fall for everything. So since the name of the group is called Dumbledore's Army, he's going to take the fall. And Harry realizes what he's about to do, and this causes Harry to try to jump in like usual, but then everyone starts, like Professor McGonagall talks him down. It just says, "Wait," basically. And they're about to arrest Dumbledore. They wrote everything down. Cornelius sends Percy off to the Daily Prophet to give the message out that Dumbledore did all that. And so they're going to arrest Dumbledore. Dumbledore said, "I'm not going quietly." So then there's a bunch of commotion and spells being shot off. Dumbledore slips past them, gets to Harry, gives him a couple words, basically, to not do anything crazy, and also make sure to keep practicing his occlumency with Professor Snape. Basically telling him to take that very seriously and just close your mind, because that's going to come. He says it's going to become important in the future. This also reiterates that I think Dumbledore can see the future in some way. But then he disappears with Fawkes in a very cool fashion. Even one of the portraits at the end said that doesn't like everything Dumbledore does, but Dumbledore is smooth.